Hello and welcome back to Murders on the Yangtze River. Last episode we were in the midst of a trial and finally had some sort of breakthrough, or as Wen said, the scales of victory are beginning to tip in our favor. When we I think proved is a strong word to use for that, but we suggested that a sack of rice was used to kind of stop a second bullet hole from appearing. Wait, did it stop a second? No, it was used to deafen the sound of the bullet because there were two bullet holes. And, well, either way, I'm not quite sure anymore what exactly we were proving, but we'll see. My mind is now completely blank. Yeah, he didn't really know where to go from there. Counsel, please listen carefully. Though you have successfully explained the issue of the bullet shell, hole, and fingerprints, you still haven't shaken one fundamental fact. The bullet that killed the victim came from a gun with the defendant's fingerprints on it. Furthermore, only the defendant could have taken the pistol from the crime scene to the theater. As long as these two questions remain unanswered, it is impossible for anyone else to be the perpetrator in this case. Do you understand? Defense counsel, did you hear the prosecutor's words clearly? Defense counsel, time is almost up. Do you have an answer? The timing. Whose voice is this? The key to the case is the timing, Afu. Shen! Everything up until now has been carefully planned. There are hidden details that I haven't fully grasped. I didn't want to involve you in them. Don't talk about involvement. If you have a problem, then it's my problem too. If you want to uncover the truth behind it all, you must remember. The key to the case is timing, Afu. Understood. You may experience moments of confusion. When you feel overwhelmed by the complexity, try entering your own mind palace. Huh? I also have a mind palace? I thought that was a unique ability of yours, Shen. It's just a way of thinking. Imagine a space. Place your memories in and let them work together like chains and gears. The police captured Mr. Shen in the moment of taking the gun, not in the moment of placing it. The defendant was arrested at 8:30 p.m. and the gun was confiscated by the police. Yes, the seized weapon cannot be used for murder. The prosecutor's deduction is reasonable. I got it. Afu, are you okay? Judge Kwan is questioning. Koshin, I can piece everything together now, but there are still some uncertain details. I can only answer Judge Kwan's questions while thinking. Just say it, don't worry. Even if you say something wrong, I'll help cover for you. Defense counsel, I'll ask one last time. What are the facts that you advocate for? Judge Kwan, the key to the case is timing. Oh, how so? Mr. Joseph repeatedly mentioned that the reason why Shen is considered the culprit is that during the presumed time of death from 8 to 8:30 p.m., only he had entered and exited the scene. But in fact, the autopsy determined the time of death to be between 8 and 10 p.m. The reason why it was adjusted to before 8:30 is that the weapon was confiscated at that time. This reasoning seemed flawless until just now. We discovered the existence of another gun. what do you think its existence changes?
It changes everything in the reasoning. Because that is the true murder weapon.
Please tell us why you believe that gun to be the true murder weapon.
Because the gun confiscated by the police cannot be used, the culprit must have used another gun.
How do you explain that?
We have discussed this before. The reason why the seized gun can't be used for murder.
This, right? Because there's only one bullet missing, but we had 2 bullet holes. Wait, why the reason why the seized gun can't be used for murder? Because it's seized. Well, what does he mean? Wait, was taken from the foreign goods shop, but a piece of evidence proves otherwise. I really don't know what they're talking about. I guess we have the photo still?
When discussing this photo, Koshin once pointed out, when Shen was arrested, he was taking the gun out of the locker, not placing it. Mr. Joseph insisted Mr. Shen took the gun from the foreign goods store due to the rifling marks. Now all the evidence indicates that the murderer used 2 guns. Mr. Joseph's rebuttal is no longer valid. The gun was used by the culprit to frame Shen. It was always there and couldn't be used for murder.
How do you explain the bullet and bullet hole at the crime scene then?
The rifling marks on the bullet match those of the confiscated gun. It suggests that someone did indeed fire it at the floor of the crime scene. But this happened before Shen went to the foreign goods store.
That's impossible. There's clearly blood on the bullet.
The blood could have flowed into the bullet hole after the victim's death.
That makes sense. Officer Wu, perhaps you should discuss the issue of bullet hole depth with the defense counsel.
The issue of depth?
Well, we have our fish scale as a count. No matter what he's gonna say, we have that as evidence against it.
Right. How do you explain the depth of the bullet penetrating the floor?
If the culprit fired a shot into the floor and left the bullet in bullet hole, then it shouldn't have this depth.
Oh, what? I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, but I find it very strange.
Order in the court. Mr. Joseph, can you please explain it to me again? Judge Kwan, what Officer Wu means is, if the bullet hit the floor without piercing a human body, its power would be much greater. The depth of the bullet hole left on the floor shouldn't be what we see now. So you mean that all of the defense counsel's arguments are based on one core assertion. The bullet and the bullet hole were made before the defendant entered the crime scene. But they didn't consider the issue of bullet hole depth. I did. Well, I didn't until they told me, because how would I have known how deep the bullet hole was? If this issue is not resolved, then the defense's reasoning will completely fall apart. Yeah, just let me provide the fish scale. Defense counsel, what about the issue of the bullet hole depth? Do you have a way to explain?
Right. What exactly is the story behind the bullet hole? Judge, the defense counsel needs some time to prepare. No, we don't. Koshin, I'm sorry, I completely overlooked this question. We've come this far. We can't give up now. Let's think carefully again. At the crime scene, there must be something that has been overlooked. Is it because of this that the bullet holes are shallow?
This is...
It seems that a black carp was taken away from the cellar. This piece of debris is the deformed scale of the green fish that was hit by the bullet.
A fish scale? Could it be?
That's right. The culprit didn't shoot directly at the floor. Instead, he brought a fish from the cellar into the study and shot through it at the floor.
Shooting through a fish?
Officer Wu, if the bullet hole we see now was formed after the bullet went through the fish, does the issue of depth still exist?
Then it no longer exists.
With this, the truth is about to be revealed. The culprit entered the scene before Shen. He knocked the victim unconscious, hid him in the cellar, and took the pistol from the drawer. Then he took a fish from the cellar to the study, lifted the carpet, and shot through the fish.
Poor fish.
Leaving the bullet and the hole, he restored the carpet and took away the fish and the shell.
Why did the culprit take away the bullet shell?
Mr. Shen is a renowned detective, and the culprit may have been wary of him. Worried that he would become alerted if he found the bullet shell.
Makes sense. Please continue.
Next, the culprit hid the gun in a theater locker, waiting for the police to seal off the scene. After confirming Shen's arrest and the confiscation of the pistol, the culprit acted again. He placed a bag of rice on top of the bullet hole and then covered it with the carpet. Then he dragged the victim back to the scene and placed him on top of the bulging rice bag. He used another pistol of the same caliber to shoot the victim. Seeing the two holes didn't match, he moved the carpet to align it with the hole on the floor. Finally, he kicked the body a few times to further hide the issue with the bullet trajectory.
So that's how it is.
This is the truth of the case. Judge, our client Mr. Shen Chungping is not the culprit. He is a scapegoat deliberately framed by the real murderer. Please make a verdict of not guilty.
The defense counsel's viewpoint is quite insightful.
Hey, you, Judge Kwan, are you so easily convinced by such a flawed analysis?
Your Honors, every step of Afu's analysis of the modus operandi is supported by evidence. The rice grains under the carpet and the fish scales in the bullet hole are not by coincidence.
These are not coincidences, but false clues intentionally left by the defendant. The fingerprints on that bullet shell were definitely wiped off by him.
How dare you make such a claim?
Because Mr. Shen is a smart detective, he surely has strong counter-detection abilities. This was your own argument in the previous trial, don't you remember?
Shen would never fabricate evidence.
His purpose, of course, is to collude with the two defense counsels and help him get acquitted.
Okay, if this guy is not the murderer, he's actually just stupid.
I object. This is an unjust accusation.
Objection overruled. The evidence provided by the defense counsel does not have sufficient probative force. Judge Herman, but there is also no evidence to support Sergeant Singh's argument. During my tenure in the international settlement, I saw many Chinese exploiting system loopholes. I do not want such matters to happen in this court. Thanks to Judge Herman's reminder, defense counsel, please provide more compelling evidence.
Well, what other evidence can there be? Is there anything that Mr. Shen cannot forge? Afu, based on your reasoning, the murderer entered the scene after Mr. Shen's arrest. As long as we can prove this, it will prove Mr. Shen's innocence, right? Maybe there is a witness at the scene who can tell us the answer. Why did my immediate first thought go to this? Is there anyone else that even makes sense, is the question.
What? The witness you mentioned is JC's pet cat?
That's right, it's Mr. Ginger.
Defense counsel, why do you believe this Mr. Ginger was at the scene when the murder occurred?
I heard from JJ that Mr. Ginger went missing on September 14th, the night of the crime. Yesterday, while searching the cellar of the foreign goods store, I happened to find him.
Well, what does that prove?
The cellar is a sealed space. Both human and cat can only enter by the secret door in the study. After the crime, the police promptly sealed off the scene, but did not find that there was a cellar. It was not until yesterday that I accidentally opened the hidden door.
So you mean Mr. Ginger has been trapped in the cellar all these days?
Exactly. When we investigated the scene, the secret door was closed and we indeed didn't discover him. This means Mr. Ginger could only have entered the cellar before the police sealed off the scene. It is very unlikely that he entered the cellar with the murderer.
So you believe that Mr. Ginger saw the murderer?
Exactly.
Wait, did you say unlikely or likely?
Oh, it's very likely. Okay. I misread that. While I was reading, I was thinking, what? But yeah.
Let's bring him in as a witness. Maybe he will tell you. Meow, the murderer is indeed Mr. Shen. He's the one who trapped me in the cellar.
Not necessary. Just let Mr. Joseph inform us of the specific time that Mr. Ginger went missing.
I'm ashamed to say, these past few days, Cheche's grandfather took care of her. I don't know how the cat disappeared.
Well, is it possible to ask Cheche to testify?
Cheche is still too young. I'm afraid she won't be able to handle such a situation.
Mr. Joseph, please. This is the last chance for Shen.
Well, alright. Since that's the case, let's take a short break and resume the trial later.
Now our hopes are all on Cheche. I hope her testimony won't be too surprising.
Even Miss Wen has moments of being at a loss.
Yeah, I knew it was him. I don't know if it...
You need my help?
Toby Cheng, what are you doing here? Huh? Isn't that Shen's briefcase? Why is it in your hands?
Junping asked me to deliver it to you.
Shen? Toby Cheng, when did you meet Mr. Shen and why did he ask you to do something for him?
Did you forget? Chungping is the younger brother of my classmate.
You? You always seize any opportunity for personal gain.
No, I just want to thank him for giving me the opportunity for an exclusive interview. Mr. Su and Miss Wen, the court trial is about to start. Since the item has been delivered, I will take my leave. Perform well, I'll be outside waiting for good news from you.
Mr. Tin Woodman, I Are we gonna see the wizard for real soon?
Yes, and you will meet more than one.
Mr. Ginger, are you ready to help Mr. Scarecrow now? No.
So, this is Mr. Ginger. His fluffy appearance is quite adorable. Your Honours, I hope you're both well.
Old Bell, fancy joining me for a cuppa later?
You're still as refined as ever, Herman. Sir Bell, I never expected that this small case would also stir your involvement. The court summoned my granddaughter to testify. I'm with her. Will this cause inconvenience? No, of course not.
Excuse me, are you the wizard?
Yes. Che, I have told you. In the courtroom, you can't speak without permission.
Okay, Mr. Lion.
Children's words are harmless. They won't cause trouble.
Judge Kwan, shall we start the trial?
Witness Che, please describe the circumstances of how your cat, Mr. Ginger, went missing.
That night, Mr. Tin Woodman, Mr. Ginger, and I went to see magic. After the show, Mr. Tin Woodman left to chop wood. Mr. Ginger and I took a pumpkin carriage home. On the way home, I fell asleep and woke up to a noise. Then I found Mr. Ginger was gone. Thankfully, Mr. Scarecrow found him later.
Pumpkin carriage, scarecrow, magic, this... Che has a vivid imagination and likes to narrate her experiences using fairy tales.
Mr. Joseph, may I ask Chi-Chi some questions?
Of course.
Chi-Chi, can you tell me about the magic show that night? Someone stole Miss Witch's cards, but luckily she had enchanted them. So she could call their names without even looking, and the magic worked. The cards suddenly turned into flowers, then the flowers into a dove. It flew away. Blindfolded card guessing, playing cards turning into flowers. This is Julia's magic trick, the wonderful hands. Chi-Chi, can you tell me about Mr. Tin Woodman chopping wood? Mr. Tin Woodman has a sharp axe that can split any wood. After the show, he took his axe to chop wood so Chi-Chi could stay warm. What? I didn't understand that at all. Chi-Chi, can you explain it to Mr. Scarecrow in a simpler way? After all, I haven't got a real brain yet.
Let me explain Che-Che's words. After the show, Woodman Bell had some work to attend to, so the driver took Che-Che home first.
Ah, I see. Can you tell me what is the pumpkin carriage? A pumpkin carriage is simply that, a pumpkin carriage. Mr. Scarecrow, haven't you tried one? What? Well, I guess not. Che-Che, is the pumpkin carriage pulled by horses? There is no horses, because Mr. Coachman can do magic. He just spins the wheel in his hand and the pumpkin carriage flies. I understand now. It's a car. Chi-Chi, what does the noise that woke you up sound like? It was a really loud noise.
Could it be the sound of a gunshot? A loud bang?
No. It wasn't a bang. It was a dong dong dong. Very loud, thud 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 sound.
Could it be the sound of a clock striking?
JJ, how many bell sounds did you hear? Mr. Ginger, do you remember? No. Neither JJ nor Mr. Ginger remember.
Afu, what do you think of JJ's testimony?
By combining the testimony with this evidence, we can infer the time when Mr. Ginger went missing. Well, it has to be after the Magic Troupe performance, right? That's the important part there. Which is after 8:45. JJ, do you know what this is? Is it Miss Witch's picture? Did she perform magic for you on the night that Mr. Ginger went missing? Yes, she did. Miss Witch turned the cards into flowers. Mr. Ginger went missing after the magic performance, which is after 8:45. The time he was locked in the cellar cannot be before that. And at 8:30 PM, Mr. Shen had already been arrested.
Yes, indeed.
Judge Kwan, Mr. Joseph, the person who opened the secret door to the cellar is the real culprit.
Regarding the council's argument, does the prosecutor have anything to say? The defense counsel's doubts are valid. I lost.
Prosecutor Bell, I've never seen you admit defeat in court before.
Mr. Ginger's revelation overturns all of my previous logic. Even if the murder occurred at 8 PM, the person entering the cellar would have found the body. However, this person showed no signs of it, which is illogical. Joseph, you have never lost in court before. This experience of failure can also be considered a kind of gain.
Bell, Mr. Bell.
Judge Kwan, since Mr. Bell has spoken, shall we bring this case to a close? Judge Herman and I are on the same page. Then please bring the defendant to the court. Although the true culprit of this case has not been caught yet, but the suspicions on the defendant have been cleared. If there are no objections, I will proceed with the verdict. The trial of Shen Chongping, a Chinese accused of shooting and murdering Stone. The verdict for the defendant, Shen Chongping, is not guilty.
Kosin, you finally won! This battle was really not easy. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Thank you for all your hard work. This trial will adjourn.
Wait a minute.
That voice.
Oh, it's Shen.
Shen?
The trial cannot end yet, because the true culprit of this case is right here in the courtroom. Mr. Shen, you already found out who the real culprit is? Judge Kwan, please order a temporary lockdown of the court or there will be another murder. But this is in the international settlement. The Shanghai governor has this authority. Would you reveal the suspect's name? The police will take control of them. This case is not just about capturing the culprit. There is a mastermind hiding in the shadows.
The mastermind?
This case is not just a single case. It has intricate connections to an old case I've been investigating for 3 years. It is also related to the recent high-profile theft case. Mr. Shen, the jurisdiction of this court is limited to your alleged murder of Stone Wu. Whether it is accusing the true culprit or reporting the thief, please go to the police station. After the police verify the information, the prosecutor can initiate legal proceedings.
No. If the trial ends now, there will be another bloodshed, for sure.
Judge Herman, how about following Mr. Shen's suggestion and sealing off the court first? It wouldn't hurt to unseal it after the person he accuses has been arrested and detained.
Judge Kwan, how can you be sure that the person he accuses should be detained?
Just in case, you know.
Your Honors, you can detain me as well. If I make a mistake, I am willing to bear the responsibility for false accusations and framing.
Judge Herman, it's a matter of life and death. I think we'd better believe it.
It's up to you, Judge Kwan.
Then I'm sorry to ask you all to wait in this courtroom for a while. Guards, lock down all entrances and exits of the courtroom. Report. The mixed courtroom has been locked down. No one is allowed to enter or leave without permission. Thank you for your assistance.
John, please share your analysis. The deduction made by Afu and Miss Wen regarding the murderer's modus operandi are reasonable. It is true that I retrieved the pistol from locker 212. Previously, as a suspect, my testimony was not accepted. Now you should be able to believe someone is using the police's arrest operation to frame me. As the arrest is confidential, the framing can succeed only if two major prerequisites are met. First, the framer has insider information on the theft case and uses it to facilitate the arrest. Second, the framer had the opportunity to hide the gun in the theater locker. The person with the information on the theft and the chance to hide the gun appears to be... Mr. Ginger. No. I kind of want to blame him. The person who meets both conditions is none other than Sergeant Singh. I knew you would try to pin the blame on me. Are you saying that when Officer Wu testified you realized you had been exposed? On the night of the case, we received orders to gather at the Lyceum Theatre at 7:15. It was only at the scene that we learned Sergeant Singh received the tip-off. Before the operation, Sergeant Singh had already checked those lockers. They were all empty. You put the gun in the locker when you were checking them, didn't you? So you think this clumsy ploy can deceive me? You're just seeking revenge on me. Sergeant Singh, the secret arrest operation should be known only to you and the police involved. And you were the only one who went to the theater alone. If it wasn't you who put the gun in, then who else could it be? The operation was solely to track down that sly thief. I arranged the operation only after receiving the tip-off. Sergeant Singh, can you show us the tip-off? There's no harm in showing it to you. Shanghai Phantom will transfer stolen goods through Lyceum Theatre's locker at 8:30 p.m. September 14th. The tip-off is not signed and the letters on it look like they were cut out from a newspaper. The style of this note is identical to the other two notes Shen received. I wonder where this tip-off came from. That's confidential. Why should I tell you? The person who provided the tip-off is likely the one who killed Mr. Wu and framed Mr. Shen. Don't you want to capture them? Sergeant Singh, please disclose the source of the tip-off. As a prosecutor, I have the authority to know this information. It was an anonymous letter received in the reward mailbox. Is that all? I swear by the Guru, what I said is true. It's because the murderer was Too cunning, they missed us with a false tip-off. Misled us.
May I ask Sergeant Singh how many arrest operations were organized on the evening of the 14th?
There was only one, of course.
This is getting strange. Since the letters in the reward mailbox triggered the arrest, why didn't this piece of evidence?
What are they talking about?
Since the letters in the reward mailbox triggered the arrest, why didn't this piece of evidence?
Oh, that one.
I remember Officer Wu mentioned something about clues regarding the reward for the theft case. After the reward was announced, reports flooded in like snowflakes. But most of them were hearsay and baseless rumors, adding more confusion to the investigation. I have also seen a few letters that predicted the activities of the thief on September 14th. May I ask Sergeant Singh, what is so special about this letter? So that amongst so many leads, only this one triggered the arrest operation?
Well, I have been serving as sergeant for many years. Naturally, I have my own judgment.
How did you make your specific judgment?
Reward letters usually include an address, as the informant's goal is to claim the reward. But this letter didn't leave anything. Experience and intuition told me that this information might be true, so I arranged the arrest.
It's not unreasonable for Sergeant Singh to take action based on experience.
I'm afraid I have been manipulated by the murderer.
Mr. Shen, do you have anyone else to accuse? Please hurry.
Judge Kwan, the letter is new evidence. I need to examine it more carefully. Sergeant Singh's reasons seem to make a little sense. Are you still suspicious of him?
It's not that simple.
Let's see if we can find some clues from the letter.
Oops. There doesn't seem to be anything specific at the back.
Shen, this anonymous letter and the two notes you received look very similar. The letters in them were all cut from elsewhere and then pasted together.
It is highly likely the work of the same person. The paper used for printing is thin and rough, like newspaper.
Let me smell. This ink smell is undoubtedly from a newspaper.
What else even is there? This is common stationery, easily found anywhere. It doesn't seem to be anything special.
Shen, it seems like there are other words on the back of the letter. Are there? This is not very clear.
Try holding it up to the light.
Oh, there are indeed words. Too messy. It's difficult to distinguish.
Can we find a way to remove the paper fragments?
I'll try heating it up with fire to melt the adhesive. It should be almost done. There is a picture on the back of the paper fragment. It looks like a hat. And there are 3 partial words, each only half. It looks like the words holding a gun. This hat, the more I look at it, the more familiar it becomes. This is from the newspaper that only came out after Shen was already arrested. I mean, to make a mistake like that is pretty wacky. Then again, maybe the newspaper just didn't have the words that he needed before then. Han Yang? Why would Han Yang be mentioned suddenly? Is this your report, Kose? Lupin? In that case, the Shanghai Phantom actually has some similarities to Lupin. We sin. When? Koshin? It's you, Koshin. No, I think it's we sin. What is about me? Don't speak with that thinking. These paper fragments were all cut from newspapers. We are currently looking at the backside of the newspaper content. Shen, I got it. The pattern on the back of the Lyceum Theatre. It's your hat. Indeed. Could it be that the person writing the anonymous letter is trying to imply something? Are there any traces of processing or touch-ups on these paper fragments? No, they're all ink printed. Do you remember which newspapers have published my photos? I remember now. It's that article. Detective Shen Chongping arrested last night. Why broke into the theater holding a gun? Why? That's probably meant to say while. No, that still doesn't make any sense. I don't know. The answer is quite obvious then. Sergeant Singh, the anonymous letter you presented is forged.
How dare you say that?
The paper fragments on the anonymous letter were cut from a newspaper. This fragment is special. On its back is a drawing of Shen's hat with the words holding a gun. It comes from an article of Shanghai News on September 15th. Detective Shen Chongping arrested last night. Why broke into the theater holding a gun? If the anonymous letter was not fabricated afterwards, how could there be news of Shen's arrest on the back of the paper fragment?
The news press, the person who wrote the anonymous letter is from the news press.
Shanghai News is a daily newspaper, printed and sold on the same day. Even the newspaper editors cannot obtain the newspaper a day in advance.
Singh, did you kill Stone Wu?
You're not saying anything, so that means you're admitting it, right?
Sergeant Singh, we don't know each other, having briefly met that afternoon in the store. You wouldn't unjustly frame me unless someone instigated you to do so. No, that's not true. No one instructed me.
Then why did you set Shen up?
Enough, I admit it. It was me, I did it all. Silence. Sergeant Singh, why did you kill Stone Wu? He had evidence against me. He threatened me many times, so I killed him to silence him.
Then why did you frame Mr. Shen?
Because he was a perfect scapegoat, and he happened to cross paths with me. Well, that does make sense. What does Judge Herman think? Since Sergeant Singh has already confessed, let the police take custody of him. This case has had its twists and turns, but the truth will finally come to light.
No, that's still not the truth.
Mr. Shen, do you have anything to add?
Sergeant Singh framed and set me up, but he is not the murderer of Stone Wu.
Shen Chongping, I have already confessed. What else do you want?
According to Miss Wen and Afu's deduction on the modus operandi, Sergeant Singh had a concrete alibi. He couldn't have been at the store committing murder. This can't be possible. Sergeant Singh's alibi? I think I've heard the police officers mention it. But if Sergeant Singh is not the murderer, then who could it be? The murderer is familiar with the store, knows about the cellar, and where Stone Wu hid the gun. More importantly, when I saw this person again, there was an additional mark on their body. It was formed during the commitment of the crime. Familiar with the foreign goods store? With a distinctive mark on the body? Could it be... her? Shen, I figured it out. It's actually Ting Xiang who is the true culprit. That's right. The person who killed Stone Wu is Ting Xiang, the assistant of the store. How could it be her?
Ting Xiang, please come to the court.
Oh, there she is. I'm sorry for causing trouble. I was just curious about what the trial would be like.
Ting Xiang, do you have anything to say regarding Mr. Shen's accusations?
Mr. Shen is right. It's all my fault. The boss must have been killed because of me being hired. I often messed things up and made him unhappy. I'm just a cursed person, always bringing misfortune to others. I truly regret it. If I hadn't taken the job at the foreign goods store, this wouldn't have happened.
Mr. Shen, are you sure Ting Xiang is the murderer? She appears to be timid and harmless.
Ting Xiang, there's something I'm curious about. I heard you were there for the initial investigation and helped the police with the inventory. But the police officers didn't discover the cellar in the study. Did Mr. Wu ever mention it to you? I don't know. I've only been at the foreign goods store for a short time, still adjusting to everything. It's all my fault. I didn't work hard enough. I could have gained more trust from the boss. Maybe he would have told me important things.
Mr. Shen, do you have evidence to prove that Ting Xiang is the culprit?
Afu, did you notice? There is a mark on Ting Xiang's body which was made during the crime. A mark which was made during the crime. Can I... Sleeve badge, clothing, wrist injury, calluses on right hand. Her eyes! No. Wrist injury. Calluses on right hand. Where would the wrist injury come from? Wait, the calluses on the right hand because she took the fish out of the dry ice. Wait, a gun callus? Okay, maybe that's something different. Wait, let me see what it says here then. Yeah, okay. I wanted the frostbite. I just didn't. I thought calluses are well, whatever. Tingxiang, if you didn't know there was a cellar in the study, then how do you explain the frostbite on your wrist? There is indeed a frostbite mark on Tingxiang's wrist. Could it be that she, like Mr. Ginger, came into contact with dry ice? It's September. The weather is still warm. If it's not from contact with dry ice, how could Tingxiang have frostbite on her wrist? I wonder what dry ice is. It's solidified carbon dioxide used mainly for preservation and carbonated drinks, rarely found. Dry ice is extremely cold and can cause frostbite when it comes into contact with the skin. A few days ago, while helping my boss move fish, I accidentally came into contact with dry ice. The appearance of frostbite wounds varies in different stages of the healing process. I meant that morning when Mr. Shen and you came. No need to lie anymore, Tingxiang. Tingxiang, please take care of Miss Li. Okay, sure. When we visited, there were no injuries on your hand. Not only did I see it, Officer Wu, Miss Li, and Afu can all testify to it. Shen, you're indeed correct. At that time, Tingxiang had no injuries on her hand. At this stage, are you still unwilling to discard the disguise? It seems that this introverted persona is truly unsuitable for the courtroom. When did you figure it out? That afternoon at the store, I noticed the calluses between your right thumb and index finger. It is a typical sign of prolonged use of firearms. You're indeed interesting. No wonder you have such a great reputation. I made a mistake earlier. Unfortunately, at that time I just found it strange, but I wasn't truly alarmed. Until I discovered you came to the courtroom in disguise, I fully confirmed my suspicions. What suspicions? You were hired to kill, and your purpose was to silence. Oh, Mr. Shen, what do you think? Why did I come here? You could have escaped, but instead you risked it all by showing up at the trial for one reason. Your mission is not yet finished. Oh, how I want to open and see that clever brain of yours. Guards, quickly, arrest her. Wait, Judge. I still have questions for her. Mr. Shen, I know what you want to ask. However, I only speak the truth to the dead. If I'm not mistaken, all of this is to cover up the truth of my brother's murder. John, what have you discovered during this time? What do you think is the truth of the case from years ago?